Chapter 24, Section 2, continued. We're going to start by talking about an area of the United States that becomes known as the Dust Bowl. You had a 50 million acre region in the central part of the U.S. that basically turns into a wasteland. The topsoil dries up, loosened by a drought, and blows away. A farmer in, I believe, Missouri comments, "I'm counting the Kansas farms as they go by." You had clouds of dust that would darken the sky, burying fences, machinery. The dust would seep into your house through the tiniest of cracks. There were even ships 100 miles out to sea reporting dust clouds as it carried over the water. If you were a farmer during this, you had no way to earn a living. And a number of farmers are going to decide to head west, out of the Dust Bowl. Where they're going to head is California. California looked like the promised land. A lot of these people that choose to head west are going to be nicknamed Okies, since many of them came from Oklahoma. But the people in the west were not always welcoming. California even passes a law that it was illegal to bring anyone who was unemployed into the state. And they do convict somebody under the law that brought their unemployed brother from Texas to California. The Supreme Court eventually hears the case and declares it unconstitutional. But it just goes to show how much people in the West did not want to bring more unemployed into their state. Some families stayed put. They didn't leave. And they faced those hard times in the Dust Bowl. Families had to pull together. It didn't matter if you lived in the city or you lived in the country. You had to pull together. Relatives would sometimes double up in their houses. Younger people would move back in with their parents. Sometimes the only person in the house with a job was the woman of the house. Very different than life before. The women had to play that role of quiet hero. Making what little food they had stretch. Making their clothes last, their shoes last. Some women even made their own soap, their own bread. Some families break under this strain. Marriage rates go down. Young couples put off, marriage. This wasn't a time where they wanted to get married. Birth rates decline. People didn't want to bring another mouth to feed another person into the world at this time. You also saw psychological problems on the rise. Suicide was going up. The shame people had from losing their jobs, the inability to provide for their families. So when they say depression, depression's applying to the economy. But it could also apply to the people as well. And if you grew up during this time period, you learned lessons that lasted you a lifetime. You learned to make every penny count. People start to look for inexpensive, keyword there, inexpensive escapes from reality. You didn't want to just dwell on the depression all day, every day. And so you saw movie theaters that would start showing double features for really cheap. Gangster movies were popular, having just come out of the 20s. Cartoons were also popular during the 30s. Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Three Little Pigs is 1933. Another form of entertainment you're going to see on the rise was radio. Radio reached its high point during the Depression. This was free entertainment in your house. You probably already had a radio. And this was something you could listen to for nothing. So the number of radios in the 30s actually went up as more people even found ways to get radios. And you saw people listening to programs like The Lone Ranger or Little Orphan Annie. You know, your most popular entertainment had the same theme: good triumphing over evil, or over hard times. Home time activities were popular: playing games, reading. Um, People would use books to escape that harsh reality that they were living. You saw the rise of comic books, things like Flash Gordon and Tarzan. A popular book from the Depression was called Lost Horizon by James Hilton. You know, again, that common theme. It was a weary traveler discovers the paradise in Tibet. But not all books offered escape. Some books were, they were based in the reality. Authors like James T. Farrell and William Faulkner didn't offer escape, and they were based in reality.